right, time for Success Business Owner Mom's Edition. Behind the scenes. No, let me fix that. Sorry, Facebook. Whenever you see this. All right. Hello, this is Time for Success Business Owner Mom's Edition. This is Matt Barbie. I'm a business strategist, author, and speaker. And this episode, actually, I'd like to give a special thanks to Linda Baker with Damsel in Defense. She provides the right types of safety training and products for women or men, and teaches awareness and just being safe in your environment. So thanks again, Linda, for being a sponsor on the show. But today we've got a very, very wonderful guest, especially if you're kicking around the idea of getting married, right? Is that a good point? Yeah. So we've got Sheena, and it's Mancini, right? Mancini. Oh, I totally butchered the C. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I appreciate you understanding.
Better than macaroni.
Macaroni, yes, it's probably better than macaroni.
Yeah.
So, and the name of your company is Smile Often Events.
Yes.
Awesome. So please tell the wonderful audience what you do with Smile Often Events.
We do wedding planning and coordinating, as well as events planning and coordinating. So
Awesome.
We'll help to design and get together the logistics of each event so that it takes a lot of stress off of our clients.
Yeah, because can events be stressful sometimes?
Yes.
Yes.
They can.
Yeah. So you do wedding and you do like corporate events?
Yes.
Oh, great.
We even do down to like your little children's birthday parties.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, remind me, I gotta introduce you to somebody later. But the mental note. But all right, so you do a broad range. So I mean, technically, somebody could come to you for a wedding, but then they could work with you for a lifetime. As
Yes.
important events come in life, and as they start a new family, maybe start a new business, become a business owner dad, business owner mom. You need all those events, right?
Yeah. We do have several clients where we started out maybe with a children's birthday party and have grown with them. So as that child grows up, we come back for each birthday party and then into those children's weddings, because I've been doing this for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That is great. So what got you into like the wedding and the event industry in the first place? I guess that was over 10 years ago.
In high school, I actually was the background person for speech and drama, which was what we called our theater club.
Right. Okay.
So I started there, and then after high school, I actually did photography for a couple of years. I ran a few studios, and then I did patissier. So I was a pastry chef for a while.
Oh, really?
And when doing both of those, found out that I was doing more of the logistics of the events I was working for than actually what my career at the time.
Right.
So that's how I ended up here doing weddings.
Awesome. Yeah. Ironically, in high school, I was part of the speech league. And nobody ever wanted to do the radio. This is the Bellarmine Speech League. Nobody ever wanted to do the radio competition, and I did do that. I don't think I ever actually did well with it, ironically, but I did it. It was fun. But then I didn't do radio for a long time after that. But anyway, so yeah. sorry, a little background story on my part, but. So it kind of all started in high school, doing all these different events, and then you became a pastry chef. And so then, what got you to start your own business though? Because that's a little bit of a step, right?
Yeah, around 2011 is when I officially opened my own doors, and that was because I was moving a lot for college, and then for my fiance at the time, who was also in college. He was going to Laterno in Texas. So I went from here in Missouri to Georgia, and then to Texas, and then back again.
Oh, yeah.
So it was easier for me to create my own schedule than constantly having to explain to employers why the move was important. And I also do destination events all the way across the board, so that gives me the freedom to go in and out of state without being bogged down to a set schedule.
Wow. But I mean, all that travel still had to kind of take its toll on the schedule too, right?
More or less, you know, give or take. We're still in that first year of parenting since we only have the one child, so there wasn't really anything that kept me in one place. So being able to travel back and forth was really something that I enjoyed. Although I don't like airplanes, so I haven't really migrated across seas just yet. But as far as state to state, that it was fun to me.
Right.
It was just loads of fun.
That's fantastic. So, family-wise, circling back around to that, you mentioned that you are in your first year of parenting. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And also, because I think you had a Facebook post that confused some people.
Yes.
We can go ahead and clarify on that, what that was too, right?
I'm getting a puppy.
A puppy.
Yes.
A puppy. Yeah, because I think you said something about adding somebody to the family, but that was not a human somebody.
Yes. So the confusion behind that post is before I had my human baby, from like the age of 13, I was told I couldn't have kids.
Oh,
so
really?
to me, my fur babies are my children.
Yeah.
So when I posted that, I said, well, we're going to welcome a new baby of H, which is my last name and my fiance's last name. And it just kind of threw a lot of people off. And I even had a black and white photo of puppies on the Christmas tree in the back of that photo. So it really threw some people off because I realized people do the sonogram photos kind of in the photo somewhere, and it didn't connect to me at all.
Yeah.
Yes.
It sounded a little bit like a birth announcement. I think,
no.
So, or not a birth announcement, but a pregnancy announcement, I guess.
No, too soon.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, well, good. I'm glad that we've got that clarified, right? So, but you do some stuff with like rescue and adoption type work as well, don't you?
I do. I used to be a child advocate back in Georgia, but I really focus on animals because we constantly, like just this past Christmas, Christmas Eve day, a friend of mine, actually I've now found out that two people have either direct connection to me or through a friend of a friend have found litters of puppies on the side of the road Christmas Eve day. And so being able to foster these animals and get them, rehabilitated and back into new homes is just, it's really heart filling to me. My mother, for example, has one of the litter that I fostered a couple of years ago, and it's really nice to see those dogs every single year. Each of the new owners now send me pictures of them, and it's nice to see. We call him Amigo, is his name, but to me, he's little brother. So I get to see him every single year, and every time I go to visit my mother, and to see like this little foster baby grow up. He'll be 3 in March. So it's really fun. And then his twin, the other two are out of state, but in this particular litter, we call her his twin because they look just about identical, and they both are about the same height and everything. And her name is Nellie. She lives just over in St. Louis, so I get to see her whenever I go to see my friend Krista. So it's really fun.
So if we were to talk about what success looks like for you and your family, I'm guessing that having the time and the resources to be able to foster the fur babies would be part of that. Is that fair?
Yeah. Every time I can complete either something that, makes me feel whole or feel good or contributes to our family in a positive way it's success to me.
Yeah.
Being able to do good in the world where sometimes there's not enough.
Yeah. The world can be a scary place depending on where you look at times.
Yes.
But so you said being able to do good for your family. What does that look like? What does that mean? Is that, a lot of people talk about travel, But what's the future that you envision for your little one, the human one?
for Mila, just making sure that she has access to, the whole of an education and learning that humanity is still something we constantly need to keep up to date on. Whenever you turn on the news, it doesn't matter what channel, it's always someone fighting or bickering, and you don't see that little bit of humanity. And if I can teach her that as she gets older, to stick to that one little concept to help, even if you don't think that it's going to pay off, you've done the right thing. For example, I have a lot of friends and acquaintances that if they see me give money to someone who is homeless, whether they're actually homeless or if they're pretending, that says more about my character than that person's. If I give to that person, whether they are truly in need or not, then that says more about me than the person who is just taking, and that's being human, not just not doing it because someone out there fakes it, just doing it because it's the right thing to do, it's the good thing to do. And it doesn't have to be money. I mean, we can give the homeless a place to stay, or coats and socks because it is the winter and whatnot, and they are in need. But if someone chooses to be the way they are, that's on them, not on you at that point.
Right.
And that's what I want to teach my daughter as she grows up.
That's good because you hear that a lot. I mean, I've heard people say that before, that when you give money to the homeless, it's just going to go to alcohol or drugs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you don't give, I mean, that reflects back on you rather than, because you're making assumptions because you don't really know. I mean, they might have kids of their own that are back somewhere and they're just trying to be, they're trying to feed those kids, or who knows.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, that concept of, hey, when you make those assumptions and you don't give, and you're all curmudgeony, is that the right word?
It sounds right.
Is that Scroogey? Maybe Scroogey. We could say Scroogey. Yeah, Scroogerific. I don't know. That's probably not good. But so whenever you're like that, it's more of a testament to who you are than who that person is. You made that decision. So
yes.
And you want to raise your child with that. Yeah. Same thought.
It's been a huge impact on myself and my fiance as a whole, like having this little tiny human that you have to constantly teach every single day, and make sure that she's, even as a 1.5-year-old, making the right decisions, like not climbing on the end tables, teaching her that you can fall and hurt yourself. And as she gets older, even as we teach her, we're teaching ourselves. Well, we want to show her how to be a good person, so that means we have to be a good person. And just continuing that on repeat every single day.
So modeling that behavior. Yeah. So modeling for parenting is big. Do you have any employees as well? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we have quite a few.
So I've also heard it said, just consistently in leadership, that modeling what the values of the company, and how to take care of your clients. I mean, would you say that whole like modeling thing should kind of span between business, family, every aspect in life? Is that a big thing? Yes.
I know my generation gets a lot of flack for participation trophies, but I myself was taught to be a leader, not a boss. So if you're being a boss, it means you're just giving out work, but not expecting really to do anything yourself. But if you're being a leader, you're actually working with your employees. And so at each event, or even just volunteer work, I'm that leader, I'm not that boss. And sometimes I do kind of smudge that line a little bit, because with events it gets a little hectic. And while I don't particularly get stressed out at events, which is a weird sentence to string together when you look at events itself, high stress. But there's a line that you kind of cross, and you start creeping over that line into the boss territory, and it's kind of like a jolt in the back of the head that tells you, hey, you need to back up and maybe do it yourself. And
Yeah.
so if you're constantly taking the things like what I try to teach Mila back into your business portion, then you're sticking to that as a wholesome person, doing the right thing all the way across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen, and I've worked at places where if you're a parent, with it being the holidays, if you're a parent and someone who is non-parent wants Christmas Day off for whatever reason, maybe you step back and use that human factor and realize, well, I don't have a child. They have a 6-year-old. I should take this shift so they can stay home with their 6-year-old on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Just kind of little small decisions like that are what make us human and make us, a community as a whole to care for each other, even if it's inconvenient to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. The idea of all those little decisions and trying to model all those little decisions in your business and obviously in parenthood. So, but in that moment, so you're at a wedding, and the caterer's late, and maybe the caker dropped the cake, right? Nightmare situation. How? Because that's intense. That might be even more intense than kind of the average work day, right? But or average day in a business. That's a pretty intense moment. How do you kind of recenter yourself, bring yourself back to not freaking out and just or do you sometimes say to your team like, all right, so all this stuff happened. It's now like full on like combat mode. We just need to we need to make this work. I'm sorry in advance for being as direct as I'm about to be, but we're gonna do it. So how do you make that work?
There's a lot of apologizing beforehand because you don't know what is going to happen.
Yeah.
I've not had a cake drop in a while. When
That's
I
good.
very first started doing weddings,
Yeah.
I had a mother-in-law knock the entire cake stand over because she was upset about something, and that's not a barb at mother-in-laws in general.
Right. It happens, and
it
people
happens.
get upset.
We hear about it. Just this past November, we actually had a caterer that was lost. We had a wedding at the Wildy Theater over in Illinois.
Yeah.
And they were lost, and she came in and she was practically in tears, and it's like the ceremony's still going on. It's completely okay. You do have to be careful if your shoes click, because at the Wildy Theater they had the ceremony on the 2nd floor and the reception on the 3rd floor. So rolling those bins across the 3rd floor would have disrupted the ceremony. So they had to carry everything in their socks and do it very quietly. And those are not small containers. So you've got these giant heavy containers and giant things of tea and water, and they did it though. By the time everyone started coming up in the elevator and up the stairs, they were just setting out the salads, I believe, the salad and bread. So everything went fine. Yeah. It's just sometimes it's someone else freaking out before myself. Yeah. And it's kind of like, if I'm not freaking out, you don't freak out.
Yeah.
And I tell that to every single one of my clients, especially my brides, because brides it is unfortunate, but most of the work does fall on the brides instead of being distributed to everyone involved. Mm-hmm. And so they have a lot of pressure, and I'll get phone calls at 2 a.m. of someone I had a bride once have such a huge nervous breakdown, she was about to set her dress on fire.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty intense.
And
it's like the opposite of cold feet, but yet still the same concept, I guess.
She's like, if I don't have the dress, no one can be upset. And it wasn't even the dress that was the problem. It was just the stress of it, because sometimes when you have an event, whether it's a wedding or even just a corporate event, sometimes people get too hung up on the idea of what it should be and what it should look like, and they forget the details of it. And so when the detail comes up, they weren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons we exist as planners, is because we're prepared for it and you're not.
Right.
So if we take that stress away, then you have nothing to panic about. Nothing.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of apologizing beforehand, and then a lot of ranting afterwards. It's never bad ranting, like completely just annihilating a client. It's just, the bread fell on the floor, and then we'll talk about the bread for 10 years and
Right.
then move on, because you have to have a venting cycle,
Right,
how do I get this feeling out? And it's just talking about something dumb like bread falling on the floor.
Right.
It helps a lot to find a little dumb, inconvenient, negative thing and then just rant about it for a few minutes, and then you feel so much better. And that's kind of how we get through the events, is let's talk about this goofy thing and move on, and then the next day we're ready to go again.
So that kind of gives you a focus for the release of all those negative emotions.
Yes.
That's still being considerate of all the people involved to try to kind of dehumanize whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say dehumanize, but take away the human factor, focus on something else.
Always focus on an object and not actually human. We did have a bride in the past year, and I don't want to give away too many details because I feel like she might know who I'm talking about. She was too calm.
Really?
Yes, and in my past experiences, if you're too calm before the day of, there's going to be a huge explosion and it's going to be you. She had a very tiny one. And we focused on that because we were like, we need to keep this in our heads, because if she explodes, we have to defuse that immediately.
Right. Yeah.
But she was calm from start to finish, and it was scary because there's always something.
Yeah.
Always something. And even when her and her mother were not agreeing on her wedding dress, because that's very special and very important to a bride, even when they weren't agreeing on that because the mother was paying for it, she didn't explode. She got her dress in the end, but she was just too almost creepily calm. And we were waiting, and a little tiny one happened. But if it's something like that, then yes, we have to keep that in the back of our heads.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes us panic just a little bit, but focusing on like a dinner roll falling on the ground or tea spilling is better than focusing on a person, because it's not the person that's creating the problems. It's just a misunderstanding or a miscommunication that can be solved easily. Right.
So you kind of try to be the eye of the storm, that calm in the center, right?
Yes.
And just try to bring everybody kind of back to center, but then also you recognize that stuff happens. So I mean that kind of stuff happens in business all the time, but sometimes we'll get caught up in just blaming somebody or or making somebody the center of the fault of the situation. But I like that technique of, okay, well let's just explain it away, get those negative emotions out, but take away, the fault of a human being necessarily. Yes. And that's good. That's good. Yes. I like that. And it seems to really be at the core of your values as well, wouldn't you say? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Try to.
Right.
For sure.
Well, yeah, we're all still human, right?
Yes, you do make mistakes as a human being.
So I wanted to hit a little bit too upon, we've got business owner dads, business owner moms out there who are listening, or people in general. So how do you save them time, save them maybe some of that emotional, intellectual energy, make their lives a little bit better with what you do?
We just kind of take the whole of it. We take all of it and plan it out. We give a basic timeline, and then we kind of let them make the decisions. Okay, well, I'd really rather not have a bouquet tossed. That's fine. Let's cut it out and just, that's it. That's the end of it. And then if you want to add it in later, it's nothing for us. Yeah. But if we can find, vendors, whether it's weddings or events, we can find the vendors, we can give proper suggestions on such. If your budget is $10,000 or $50,000, we usually strive to stay below that. But if you're making decisions on, like champagne goals and you only have beer money, then we have to kind of be realistic with you and then let you step back. Because we do have clients, I still have clients where, if they're on champagne thoughts, we have to tell them, okay, well, you need to set a later date for whatever event it is. Yeah. And so we kind of just take everything in for them and then give them kind of like a draft, and then they adjust it the way they see it, and we guide them on that. Excellent.
Well, again, this has been Time for Success Business Owner Moms Edition. Thank you so much, Sheena, for being on the show today, and thank you also to our sponsor, Linda Baker with Damsel in Defense. Again, thanks for everybody for listening and tuning in.